Peace. Peace. Alright. The time has come. Let's speak about manifestation. The Chinese call manifestation Wu Wei, effortless achieving. The Celts believed in manifestation. The pagans believe in spirits and all things. Magic and mystery, manifestation. Magic and mystery, to begin with, is something that we don't have to believe, fantasy. We don't have to believe in the fantastic. But what do we gain if we do? Now, belief is the key. And not just like mumbo jumbo, but seriously, okay, what you believe will come true. If you hate, live with hate, hate is all you will see. If you live in love, you will see love. We must manifest the best world that we can, but we walk around in a strop, really angry, and say to ourselves, you know, this is life. When something goes wrong, isn't life like this? Isn't life like that? Well, life's like 100 things all at once, so why do we say life's like that? Many people you'll meet will tell you, well, that's life. I mean, it's true what the newspapers say, right? It's true. At the end of the day, it's true. But there are 5 billion truths all at once. Which one do you want to believe? Which one do you want to be real? And we make our reality real. If we believe that life is nothing more than bricks and mortar, that biology is little more than plumbing, and that's it, then that's all it is. The soul cannot be quantified, it cannot be weighed. Emotions, they don't exist. All of our human experience can't be measured, quantified, realised, rationalised by science. Science has a spirit of its own right, and I don't disregard it. Spirituality and science were once the same discipline, and so they may be once again, because science is finding that you get to the limits of science, you find spirituality. If you look deeper and deeper into an atom and closer into time, then you find the laws which we hold dear to become unstable, to fail us entirely. And then Planck's laws start to make sense, and string theory makes sense, but they don't make sense in general relativity, because all things exist in a magical spectrum beyond the measurement system of the humans and the way that we see life. You know, there are certain ways to quantify certain things, absolutely. Heck, I've gotten off track. So, manifestation. Manifestation is the capacity to, like the creator itself, create reality according to our vision and intention, urge, will. Right? Through thinking it alone, we can make it real. And this is the case, right? You make your fortunes, good or bad, or the other. You make the experiences, good or bad. I mean, all the bad that you've ever gone through, there's a reason. It brought you here. It brought you here. It made you who you are. Okay? You didn't like it at the time, but guess what? I believe that before you were born, you contracted to that and every other obstacle, because you knew that was the only way to forge the person that you will be. Think of a great leader. Think of someone that you admire or have looked up to, right? They were their own person, and they had to be that by not following the group, by letting the group follow them. So when I was young, I twisted my ankle when my mum and I were going to a chip shop. It's a bit of a hill. Twisted my ankle. man, that sucker hurt. Swelled up big as well. And I was limping the best part of a mile all the way home. Now, she was saying on the way home, you could do with a walking stick, you know. And we got to the home. We just got home. We just nearly home. There was a road that was about 80 metres off, and we heard this clang, 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 clang. We got home. 40 minutes later, a friend of the family arrives, carrying a walking stick. Yeah, we reckon someone who threw that walking stick out of the car when we heard it, because it was a walking stick on the ground sound. Just when I needed it. It was peculiar. It was bizarre. Things like that have happened to me quite a lot, man. It's really weird and blessed. And a lot of the things that have happened in my life, you know, haven't been too great, but they've been just as blessed, and they've helped me to get here, right? And that's the thing about manifestation that I want to say to you, is that there's a cost sometimes to manifestation, right? I mean, I had to twist my ankle for that to happen. My mother, she did, she was very hard up for money, so she did money spell. She did everything that in her power, magically and any other way, to get that money, right? So her mother died and left her some money. Right? The universe is not without a sense of irony. Because the gods enjoy a laugh as much as anyone, it seems. Terry Pratchett quote. And so manifestation can often have a kind of bittersweet edge to it. It's a bit like the genie, in that when you make a wish, you have to be very specific about the wishes that you make, and that's a fact with manifestation. Okay, with the vision that you create for your future self, right? Be so specific, and don't just tell the universe what you want. Don't just tell you what you want. Tell you what you don't want and need as well. I mean, list and list and list, and go on for 40 minutes, right? Because you can be given all the things that you want, but you don't realise that actually they come with a bunch of stuff as well that you didn't factor on, and that's the funny nature of the world, right? There's like all kinds of edges to all kinds of swords, and what looks like paradise, you get there, you're on a tropical island, there's not a lot of food, it's blisteringly hot, there isn't enough shade, there isn't any company, you haven't got anything you need. So sometimes a dream, a fantasy can be a hell if we're not quite careful about what we're wishing for. So we need to kind of eliminate the hellish aspects almost first, you know what I mean? I pray that there'll be good people. I pray that, you know, people are on the ball with their own situation and they're not judging others or taking it out on others, but they're figuring it out themselves. I wish, you know, you have to be so specific about these things you wouldn't believe, right? Because for every manifestation that you nail, like there can be another side to it, and there can be a cost to it. And let's also consider that energy doesn't just happen out of nowhere, right? Your manifestation has to come from somewhere. It's actually coming from somewhere else, right? That somebody else might have had. Maybe they had it and wasted it. Maybe people half had it and completely wasted it. You know what I mean? But we need to recognise that it comes from someone else. It's, you know, let's say I desperately manifesting a new house, a new housing situation, new flat, right? New place to live. And that's something that someone else can't have, right? That means that the universe needs to prioritise. I'm saying, universe, my situation is worthy of prioritising that manifestation. The reason why I say this is just, it takes a long while sometimes, especially the bigger the manifestation, like moving out, finding new people, becoming a new person, you know, that fantastic car, whatever you want. And here's another thing. Oh, I'll finish. Whatever you want, it'll take a while, and the bigger the thing, the longer it'll take, right? And we're not going for the specific material thing, okay? That's the main thing. The most important thing with manifestation is we're not waving our hands and making a Lamborghini turn up, and we're not making the beautiful lady turn up that we always wanted, or the mansion, okay? It's the feeling. From a Lamborghini, what do we get? What's the feeling that you require? Because that's what you manifest. In manifestation, we go for the feeling and feeling alone, okay? And then it's a surprise however that thing manifests, however it incarnates, right? But you're not after a Lamborghini. You're after a feeling of freedom. You're after a feeling of respect. You're after admiration. These are the things that you want. It's not the car, right? And that's important to recognise, that there are things that we want, we think we want, but we don't really want them. It's what they're packaged in somewhat, or what packages them, you know? So, you know, we want the freedom, or we want refuge or safety, or we want to be respected or valued. You know, these are the things that we want. We don't want a car specific, that specific model of car, you know, no. Or that specific house, you know. Consider why we want the things we do, why we desire the things that we do. You know, very important to get to the bottom of our wants and needs, and also to recognise that we are, you know, we're making energy happen, we're making it happen through energy. It's not physical, you know, what we're doing. Because we're over that. Physical things come and go. We don't have attachments. We don't have desire in that sense, right? The key, all suffering is related to desire. So in life we must try our best to walk away from desires per se, you know, as much as we can. It's natural to have certain desire. And the pursuit of non-desire is itself a desire. So the trappings, right? The trappings of spirituality being what it is. But nevertheless, we try to liberate from all things and simply recognise that material things we can't cling to. Either material people, material events, phenomena, what have you. You can't cling to nothing except for change, right? Change is the only constant. Whatever I have, I'm reminded of that Heat quote, don't ever have nothing that you can't walk out on in 30 seconds flat. All of my possessions I expect to lose. Okay, I've got some DVDs, I've got a computer, and I've got my camera here. None of it is very expensive, so please don't rob me. But the point is, should I lose any of that, I'm not going to waste any time over it, right? Because I can make it all over again. I'm going to enjoy making it all over again. And it wasn't about the thing, it was about the time I had getting it, right? All of those DVDs were thoughtful DVDs, interesting films, any kind of film. Meet Joe Black. I can't suddenly remember any films whatsoever. Look, DVDs, I can lose them. It was just a fun day out when I went to a charity shop anyway. I went to a charity shop, had lunch, and I bought a DVD. And I repeated that about 50 times. I've got about 50 cool DVDs. Oh no, if somebody takes it away, I'm going to have to go and do it all over again. Wouldn't that be good? Right? I could do with that. Right? I need an excuse to go out to all the charity shops and go hunting for DVDs again, right? So, if the worst case happens to me, it's not the worst case, right? But that's me. I appreciate other people have different things to live for or different dependents, but you understand, right? We often get ourselves in positions that we can't escape, or we have to be wary of putting ourselves into positions that we cannot escape. The Celts believed that, like, I'm not sure if the Celts exactly believe this, but this is something that I believe, like, we are, the humans are like a go-between in between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, right, humans. And here's what the Celts believe, like, thoughts, how physical things emerge in reality is that they exist in an unformed way, just as a kind of intentioned thing in an ether, out in the spiritual reality. And we find ourselves having a need. So let's say we break our legs and we need like a crutch, right? Or a splint or something, right? And so we think to ourselves, I have a broken leg, so I have a need. I've got a problem, a lack, which is a broken leg, a lack of walking. I have a need, which is a capacity to walk. How do we make that happen? And the mind has the capacity to form the roughshod need into the the physical object, and that process relies on kind of, we recognize the laws of the physical and we transcode the ethereal kind of notional non-object into an object through the parameters of the physical. And that's what the human does. That's the power of the human, is to make something which does exist somewhere as an idea. So say, nuclear energy, nuclear engineering, nuclear reactors and what have you, even, God forbid, nuclear weapons, they all exist because the potential, they always were going to exist, and thus we were the sort of transcoding element in facilitating that thought form into physicality. That's the human's role in the whole thing. So, humans do have a divine purpose in reality, and that's why we are not just conscious, but beings that believe in soul, or feel energy, energetic things. We might not all do that, but this is the beauty of belief, right? You can choose to, even one day to the next, right? You can not believe in this hokum, and then you can give it a go fully. I mean, you can't just half give it a go, but you can, believe, and you can find a new truth and a new reality, right? And if that's something that does exist, if you wish, then why not? Because I've gained so much from miracles and mystery, right? None of it has to be true. Karma doesn't have to be true. Reincarnation doesn't have to be true. Manifestation doesn't have to be true. But, like it or not, these things have given me no choice but to find them true. And that's bizarre. And the rational world, the modern world, the consensus reality that we live, it kind of denies all magic, into the cult of the science and the physical and the, kind of want to say, rational and the measurable. But there's much that we cannot measure, that we accept. We can't measure love, but love is what motivates much of human experience, right? But we can't describe it, we can't measure it, can't quantify it, can't reduce it or increase it willingly. We can't. There's a lot we can't do, right? There's just much that we cannot understand about the world, much of phenomena, the soul, death, life, right? I mean, science just has no opinion on it. Death, life and the afterlife. There is no afterlife. There is no experience beyond this experience of sense. But what happens when people sense something that's bizarre, irrational? The light, when people see the light, isn't that bizarre? But everyone sees it. So is that to say that it does happen, that it is real? If something that all things experience, how can any science or anything deny it? You know what I mean? I mean, we can't quantify it, and that's why it denies it. But it's bizarre, right? It's a world of mystery and magic. Beautiful bounty. Miracles. You can perform miracles. You can perform healing miracles. You can heal yourself and others. You can save lives. You can manifest that which you've desperately needed all your life. You can get a bunch of money when you really need it. You can get a new personality, a new person. You can look great. You can conquer all those who've sullied you and pushed you in the dirt without even trying, because you did right in the beginning. That's why they had a problem, because you won. You see, manifestation is realizing that you've got it already, and you've always had it. It's your birthright. All of it. Acceptance. Accept it. Resistance is futile. Right? Life is beyond definition and explanation. I've tested the limits all my life. And it's not true what people say. I've gone through the limits of Christian philosophy and belief, and it's not enough. Any organised religion, they're not enough. They don't teach you and tell you that you have the capacity in your hands to be the creator of your reality. Right? They don't know that. The guy that says stuff, the minister, the priest, the imam, the rabbi, have they sat with Jesus? Have they sat with God? Have they sat with Muhammad? Have they sat with the Creator? Have they recognised that in themselves? Have they relinquished all control and realised that is the ultimate truth? Have they surrendered to that truth? Have they sat with that truth? Do they represent that truth? Is the truth that they speak the truth, or is it the truth of man and the things that man comes out with? Homophobia, racism, prejudice, fear, fear, fear. You must fear what I fear. You must dislike what I dislike. No. How about you must liberate from everything I'm saying? You must find the truth despite everything I'm saying. You must find the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Why am I saying this? What has it got to do with manifestation? Everything. You manifest the truth. You manifest your reality so you can find the truth. Or you hide from it. Or you banish it. Banish everyone like it. The universe is going to manifest a lot of stuff for you, and it's you doing it for you, so that you can see through a lot of BS, lies, and a lot of people who found something that helps them, but doesn't mean it's true. Manifestation is a funny thing. It can give us what we feel like we don't want, right? What we feel like we don't need, what we feel like is going to kill us, destroy us entirely. So manifestation is this funny thing. It's not all brilliant, lovely. I mean, it's brilliant. It is lovely, but it doesn't mind what you go through sometimes, right? Because you don't mind, because you knew that you're either going to make it or you're not. You're either going to screw it, you're going to make it. Okay, you knew you're going to make it. You knew that it's going to bring you to your knees, and you're going to have nothing left, and you're going to beg for it to stop. And then at its worst point is when it reaches culmination and it's all okay. And 5 things that you thought were going to destroy you, you wake up one day and it's all gone. Well, what happened? What was the point in that? I don't know, but you're stronger now, aren't you? You're still here, aren't you? Now you've got a purpose. Now you've got something to say. Belief is everything. Why not believe in magic? Why not believe in infinite capacity, capability, infinite life, infinite time, infinite breadth, the capacity to be as broad, think as broad, see as broad as all things, as anything, as the thing? Why limit yourself? Why limit yourself? We're just limitation machines. Machines that are dedicated to self-limitation. That's what we are right now. So we better make our machining a bit more like, we are a machine of infinite capacity and possibility, right? I mean, everything that we've got in this society, in this world, has come from an idea and come from an urge. Somebody made those nuclear power stations, right? We've got one hell of a world, and we can make it so amazing. When I was young, I wanted to design fighter aircraft, jet aircraft to lay waste to the enemy, right? To destroy people, to kill people, right? I wanted nothing but to make guns, bombs, and aircraft. And I could have dedicated my life to that, and I wouldn't be here saying this to you if I had. Which way was better? I'd be rich if I did that, and I'm not rich doing this. But I tell you which one I'm going to feel better about when I'm in my deathbed, right? I tell you which one. I'm going to feel better about this, because my energy isn't contributing to that, right? There aren't civilians in Gaza getting pummeled to death by bombs that I had designed, by engine parts or canard wings that I had helped design on the Israeli F-15s or the F-35s or what have you, right? I didn't contribute to that because I contribute to peace, right? What we create in the world doesn't have no effect, We can create any magic, any beauty, but what do? We design little bombs, we design little, there are people who design cages for rats in animal testing, right? So that they twist and turn these cages so that they knock the rat off of its perch every 20 minutes until it dies. And the aim is so that it stresses it to death, so they can see how much stress it takes to kill, right? Somebody designed that. Somebody put time outside of their busy schedule, right, to make somebody took time out of their busy schedule to make a torture hell for rats and mice to die. I suffer from stress, I suffer from sleep, and let me tell you, I don't want animals to go through that so that somebody can figure out that sucks, so that somebody can figure out that stress probably isn't good for you. Somebody had to design that, and somebody did, and that's an awful shame that people feel that they could do that without any energetic reverberations coming back to them in any sense, you know what I mean? But what we put into the universe comes back to us, and it floods the universe, and we better make sure that it's positive, Right, so have I said about enough? I don't know, some people who want to walk past and it's all blessed, so right, enough love, and we're done here. I love you. Peace.